In putting together my last two videos on depression, I've done a lot of reading, a lot of researching. Indeed, over the last 2 weeks, in responding to all the feedback I got on those two videos, I've done a lot of writing too. I mentioned in the last video, in relation to some of my reading and researching, that I came across the statistic that says that at least 1 in 5 people will suffer from depression at some point during their adult lives. Now, I made the point last week that I believe that statistic is understated, because what that statistic actually refers to is that at least 1 in 5 people will be diagnosed as suffering from depression at some point during the course of their adult lives. Now, I believe a lot more than 1 in 5 people suffer from depression. Now, why do I believe that? Well, in actually researching and reading and reflecting over the last 2 weeks, I've come to a kind of blindingly obvious conclusion. And it's an important conclusion in my mind, because I believe it is very good news for anybody who perceives themselves to be suffering from depression. And that is that it is normal to suffer from depression. Yes, you heard me right. It is normal to suffer from depression. Why? Number one, your subconscious mind is hardwired to pay attention to the snapshot learning of your childhood years. They are the subconscious mind's default settings. It is normal to pay attention to things that happened long ago that create what you perceive to be your reality now. Number two, it is normal when your subconscious mind does look backward for it to be predisposed to pay attention to the negative rather than the positive snapshots from your formative years. It is normal for your subconscious mind to pay more attention to the things that made you feel bad about yourself than feel good about yourself. Add those two things together and you'll come to the obvious conclusion that it is absolutely normal to be depressed. Number three, and this is a very important point, the stuff that you are looking back at in your formative years has nothing to do with you. It is not your fault. You didn't do it. Someone else did it to you or for you during your formative years. So you need to ensure that not only do you realize that it is normal to perceive yourself to be suffering from depression, but it has nothing to do with you. There is no self-blame involved. There's a fourth point I want to make, and it is an extremely important point. Because if you do perceive yourself to be suffering from depression, you have a major advantage over all the other normal people who think their lives are just not too bad. And that is that you know that the useless thoughts that your subconscious mind is paying attention to are wreaking havoc in your current adult life. And therefore you are better placed to actually do something about it. The most effective thing that you can do about it is pull your subconscious mind's attention away from its obsession with the negative things that happened to you long ago that are producing the effects of depression today. And the only place and time that you can pull your subconscious mind's attention to is the here and the now. If you manage to do that, you will have addressed the root cause of your depression, whereas medication will only address the symptoms. But what you need to realize is that you need to embark on possibly a lifetime's work of retraining yourself to pay attention to the here and now. I use the word retraining because as a child you paid full attention to the here and now. And indeed, that is how you were programmed in the first place. As an adult, It doesn't come naturally to you to pay attention to the here and now. What comes naturally to you are the default settings that I mentioned earlier on. But it is within all our power, all our capability, to actually develop a clear, focused and present mind. And it only takes 10 minutes. 10 minutes every day, however. Now, those 10 minutes, if you're prepared to commit to 10 minutes every day, they will make the other 23 hours and 50 minutes of the day immeasurably better. But you do need to realize this. Those 10 minutes could be the most difficult 10 minutes of the day. Because clearing your mind, paying attention to your 5 senses, which is what I'm talking about for those 5 minutes, can be very frustrating, can literally almost drive you crazy. But it is worth it. Why am I saying that you should pay attention to your 5 senses? Well, they are your only interface with the outside world. As adults, we don't pay attention to our 5 senses. We take what our 5 senses are telling us, mix it with the programs and snapshots of our formative years to make sense of the here and now, and in the process, make nonsense of it. That is how you believe yourself to be suffering from depression. You have to break the link between what your 5 senses are telling you and you adding your preconceived notions to it. And that is why I'm suggesting that for 10 minutes each day, 10 minutes each day, every day, you come back to paying attention to what you're seeing, feeling, hearing, smelling and tasting. In its initial stages, you might concentrate on one of your 5 senses at a time. So for example, tomorrow morning you might sit down in your chair where you won't be disturbed, close your eyes and simply listen to the sounds around you. What you will notice is that those sounds will be amplified. Of course, that isn't true. They will only appear to be amplified. You will actually be paying an abnormal amount of attention to them, and that is what makes the difference. And 10 minutes each day can make the difference, can make an extraordinary difference, so that we can all end up living our ordinary lives extraordinary.